Okay, so I'm going to talk about myself a little bit and my background, and then the work I did in my grad school. And then after finishing the 18 slides, I will just go to the hallway and see my work. Okay. Okay, so okay, starting with the map, I was born and raised in Guangzhou, China. It also has another name, which is Canton. The city is about 8,000, excuse me, 79 miles from Baltimore. And the excuse me, population is 40,284,000. And NYC only has 8,460,000 people. So Guangzhou is a big and historic manufacturing region in China. And it used to have craft factories like ceramic and furnitures that mainly export to Europe. And now it has a lot of light industry factories like textile, household electric appliance, clothes, bags, commercial jewelry, and even fake luxury jewelries and bags. And also dim sum and most of the Chinatown food is also from this city. So you can tell this city is just has so many people. It's always a very competitive environment. So I spent lots of time studying for high school, middle school, college examinations. And when I was about 5 years old, I had a kindergarten mate who is so talented, and he could draw animals, buildings, amazing vehicles. So I was so jealous. I asked my mom if she could take me to an art class, and she did. So this is how I started my art journey. I finished my bachelor degree in China, and then in 2017, I came to Rochester Institute of Technology in upstate New York for the master degree. And the program was 2 years, but my professors allowed me to extend for 1 more year to finish my paper, and also offered me an opportunity to teach classes at RIT. So I have gained a lot of experiences in my 3rd year of MFA program. I did some exhibitions and shows. I did a little bit teaching. I kept doing my work in the school studio, and I used those experiences to apply for the artist visa in the US, and finally got it. So I can legally sell my work. I can get paid in art-related area, and finally I came here. So that is my background. So here's some work before my MFA program. On the left is still, and it's just a portrait. The project topic was a portrait. And on the right side is just a copper and brass bangle. Those 2 approaches, I use one stainless steel wire to hold the whole piece. I really enjoy this project. I still collect and make things like this. But in the school, it's difficult to make projects like this. It takes a long time for me to collect the right objects. But at school, every semester is really short, and it's just hard to finish a project like this. And I also know I wouldn't enjoy this if the project is in a rush. So, but I do know I like these objects that have a standard size, and you can always find parts that can fit and hold each other. So during my grad school, I came across with this book titled 10,000 Things, Modular and Mass Production in Chinese Art, written by a German scholar, Lothar Lederos. The book explained how the idea of modularity rooted in Chinese culture and affect in art education and craft making in China. So started with the Chinese writing character and calligraphy. All characters are within a cube. So each character is combined to a cubic unity with one or a few motifs. Usually the symbolic motif on the outside of the character is the root of the word. It could be on the left, it could be on the above or under the character. For example, the top two characters have 3 dots motif on the left, which means they are water related. And the top left one means ocean, top right one means the wave. And move to the bottom 2 characters, their motif is on the left as well, and it's developed from a bonfire shape. The motif itself could be a character and it means the fire. So the bottom left character means the light or lamp, and the bottom right means the blazing. They are all related with something fire, something bright. So in most languages, people make words with the alphabet letters in a horizontal combinations. So everything is in line. But in Chinese, they put everything in a cube by changing the basic elements. And it also mentioned how Chinese painter was trained. Here is a book called The Mustard Seed Garden Manual of Painting. The author broke down all elements in Chinese traditional ink paintings. And it's a guidance book for art students back to that time. So traditional art training and education in China, even in East Asia, people believe that you need to keep copying and imitating previous classic pieces. You need to draw and practice every single part perfectly, and only after that, you will be able to be creative, where you are allowed to be creative, where you have the freedom to be creative. And that is why this drawing manual was so famous and became a Bible to the artist back to that time. And some people still believe that this education method, and I was trained in that way too. I didn't draw flowers and trees like my ancestors did, but I did draw a lot of still lifes and plaster figures from European sculptures. And this is also how artists in craft factories learn and work back to that time. If you are better at drawing flowers, you will be assigned to draw all the flowers, then pass the baton to the next person who is good at figures or trees or backgrounds. You can easily find this type of blue glaze porcelain in many museums in Europe and the US because they made so many. But because of the lack of information and reference, you can always see the artist's imagination within their works. I saw those bottles in the Waters Art Museum. The artist might not have had reference images. They might not have seen any Europeans. So they're still painting the European ladies in the same way as Chinese figure painting. Same dress, same face, same postures, just added with curly hairs. This sloppy artist accidentally paint this lady with 6 fingers. Maybe they're just too busy, or they're just being sloppy, or just too many others. And those 2 ladies have the right dress, but the trees are still drawn in a traditional way. I really like the way they draw the fountains on the left, on the right bottles. I'm not sure if they have seen a fountain back to the early 18th century. All I can find is that the first European fountain in China was built in the mid to late 18th century, designed by European missionaries and built in a royal garden. I think most of them wouldn't consider themselves as an artist, maybe just a craftsman, a laborer, or just a worker. And of course, artist was a new concept from the Western world back to that time. I feel I have never got the permission to be creative. I always feel my work is not perfect enough, not expensive enough, my techniques not good enough. How can I be an artist? So I went to grad school with all the questions. I got a bunch of PVC pipe. Following the idea of the module, I started working on them. Now looking back, I'm not sure if it's the best material for the project, but it was a really good practice for me. So I cut them randomly. I don't sketch. I don't have any plans. I fill them with resin, assemble them by their forms. I have to embrace the uncertainty and contingency of the pieces. For the colors, I watch a lot of YouTube videos and TikTok to explore different kinds of paints. And my figure makers are experts in airbrush, spray paint, and oil-based, water-based, alcohol-based paints. And they also have a lot of tips about how to build a home studio. And train model and many nature makers are experts in all kinds of glues and textures. I learn a lot from them, and then I experiment on my work. So in my work, I painted with enamel paint and cover with acrylic. I sand it down a little bit after every paint. Usually I would do 4 to 5 layers of paint. Grad school time went by fast. I tried to use some silver to complete the work. Some of them are fine, some of them are not that good. And I also feel I did too much sketches when I was a kid, and it's hard for me not focus on the detailed things. And it's also a process to find my own working methods. I have to accept my limits. I have to learn how to keep working even though the old Asian saying haunted me. This image is my thesis show. It was a quite big space, and then I made a lot of work to fill that space. And then after thesis show, I went back to China to visit my family for the summer. And then I came back to write my paper and teach. In the following spring, COVID happened. So at home, I used the leftover materials to make a series jewelry that mimicked the abandoned objects in the snow. I tried to keep working and use them to express the moment. My hometown is very warm and never snow. But when I stand in the snow, I realized I forgot the feeling of living in a warm place. On the left is a brooch, and on the right is a ring. This is a ring. I tried many different ways to connect metal parts and plastic parts. I tried some colors. My professor asked me why your work is all in light color. My project theme was snow, so they're white. And also I was too lazy to find a good color combination. I used a lot of glue, epoxy, and UV gel and resin in my work, such as I would use epoxy to glue all the silver findings to the plastic pipes. I also use epoxy clay to fill up all the tiny gaps. I also made pieces according to my father's travel story he told me when I was a kid. This one is about a goat. He once had to drive across a huge dry riverbed in northwest China. And the trip was going to be a week long. And the local guide said, according to the ritual, they had to take a goat with them. So they spent a week in a no man's land with this goat. I just enjoy those small pieces, stories, and want to make something from this. Sometimes people told me contemporary jewelry need to be more critical. And it's true, but sometimes I just want to make something that can comfort me. Okay, that's my 18 slides presentation. Thank you. And then we're going to move to the hallway and to see other works.
Okay, we're gonna move into the hallway, so just bear with us for just a minute.
Okay, so here's my work. There are two parts. So first part is the beads and the toys, and the second part are my color coding experiments. So the project started with a simple hope, a hope of finding some emotional connection through collecting toys, stickers, beads, and other children's objects in another culture. As an only child born in China in the 90s, I didn't have many toys. I think just because my parents are so busy. I did get some fun from those animal toys and beads. I paint on them by Sharpie and paint pen. Just randomly paint as I want. And then image them to grow into different forms. But when I finished this piece, I didn't connect with these toys, these objects, even though some of them were made in China. Their shapes are unfamiliar to me, and they never appeared in my childhood world. So they remind me the blue and white porcelain displayed in the museums. I use my way to prep the piece like those craftsmen draw European scene in their understanding. I see there are stories behind those old and new objects. The stories are about labor, imagination, globalization, cultural differences, and identity. I used the epoxy clay to make the ring or the rings with a brass wire inside as a structure. And I painted with Sharpie and paint pens. And this one is made with a jar of beads that I got from the thrift store.
These are made of epoxy,
Yes.
right? So similar to the epoxy here. Got it.
And then I learned color coding from Molly, and I really want to try it on the metal sheets. So I tried to draw some patterns on the glass sheets, but I just feel all the sketches has become a curse on my work. Every time I draw a sketch, I can't make it. So I use stickers that I got from the thrift store to make a cloth. And then I cut out the outline of the sticker cloth, and then I use the best as the design. Yeah. So they have different colors from the front and back. Yeah. That's everything. Any questions?
The texture on the yellow.
Oh, the textures?
Yeah.
I think just too much. Oh, the text in it's like subscribing.
Yeah.
The pencil?
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
pencil.
the
Okay.
dark pencil.
Oh, cool.
And on this side though, you have a couple of, did you layer colors or did you
Yeah.
kind of like sift?
Shift.
Okay.
I see different colors. Yeah, some people say they may not like each other, some powders and colors, but it works well for those two pieces. So
How did you get this almost kind of like pitting on the pink?
there are two layers.
And-
So it's a yellow.
yeah, but then did you sand or?
Yes, I just I like
It just is so like selected, like it's just interesting what ended up being removed and what stayed.
I think I just too much powders on top, so it has like bump.
Oh, so then you were sort of removing
Yes.
the like excess. Got it. So cool. I mean, when you showed me this technique of how you sketched with the stickers, I just found that super compelling. So you also did some other sketches with stickers, but like more like recognizable, like kind of animal stickers and.
Yes, I have a couple more sketches,
Yeah.
and then I will put more this week.
I think that that sort of indirect way of sketching is really inspiring. Does anyone have any questions? It's Mercury.
So when you're talking about your use of Sharpies and pens, obviously you're referring to childhood, but I was wondering if, with all the graffiti around the graffiti culture that's here in Baltimore, if any of the visuals in the neighborhood have influence on your material choices or how you use them.
Yeah, I do see a lot of images on the street and they're appealing to me. And then that's why I want to try the bright color, because all the colors I use are very light, very boring. And then that's why I want to try like really more pop things, more, yeah.
Cool.
You're approaching to ask the question, Jay.
It feels in this work like collage as a compositional tool is much more like apparent and maybe even more important than the work that you made before. I'm wondering if there's like a specific thing that like prompted you to start like making these collages.
So I feel I like collecting stickers, and I love stickers. So naturally I saw stickers in the stores and I feel they're really appealing to me. I want to collect them, I just bought them. And then I just feel it just came out the idea that I should try those stickers as a kid. You want to put stickers around
And everything. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're saying that you weren't necessarily thinking, I'm going to use collage. It's just sort of the process you ended up following.
Yes.
Yeah, that's neat.
I just want to try to find a way to do the design process. Yeah.
But I think it's a really good point because I hadn't necessarily made the connection between these two as like the layering and collaging. Yeah.
In relation to your graduate works, you said you worked or had inspiration from PVC. I don't know, maybe this is just something I saw, but I was saying things kind of looked like bones and they were solid. How did you create those shapes that were solid? Was it like injection molding or
No,
melted?
I use the epoxy clay.
Okay,
Fill with the
okay,
clay, or I do try the just resin.
okay.
So it's solid.
What with your intention with those forms, I'm seeing bones. Were you intending some sort of like I don't know, texturing with that, or
Maybe just more like a practice,
Sure.
like how to make forms, how to create the forms. So I just play around with it. It just like that idea just flows in my head, in my mind, and just make it. And try not to do that much designs before making things.
oh,
So for this work, it's more about the process of making
Yeah.
rather than the final image you have.
Yes, I try to not have the final image in my mind. Yeah, I'm gonna make it if I have an image in my mind.
Do you think that you'll continue to work with color or?
Yes, I will, definitely I will. Yeah, I won't be lazy again. I will try.
You have weird ways of labeling yourself. Any other questions or comments?
Is this
Andy?
your first time working with these kinds of materials, or was this like a continuation of other work that you were doing? Are you going to do more with these materials as well?
So I really used to use epoxy clay to form different things, and this is the first time I used them to connect all these kind of small things. And powder coating is my first time, and stickers is my first time. I have a lot of first time.
Yeah,
stickers.
it's really just the epoxy that's the thing,
Yeah.
and you're using the epoxy differently.
Hey Shane,
Yeah. Who's that?
it's Lydia.
Oh, hey, Lydia. It's Lydia.
Hi. I see you. One thing that I find really fascinating about the transition from your 3D forms into the two most recent necklaces that you just made is that your mark making techniques are the same in the way that you've been applying paint in your 3D forms, like in the work that you were making at RIT. That texture that you've created with the pencil, I think is very referential of sort of the way that you had initially applied paint, especially in the one that has like the little blue circles, that brooch that you had made. And so I think that there's a really nice combination and relationship between the way that you are using color, even though the palette might be different, and that there is potential in this idea of mark making for you.
What do you think? And Lydia, I don't know if you can, I mean, it's hard to see, but even in the epoxy wire pieces, you know, that's its own kind of splotching like mark making.
So, hooray.
You did a wonderful job. Bravo. And you did a very good presentation. Thanks for coming, everyone. And tomorrow's our deadline for our next round of residents, so apply.
Wow.
John Marie says congratulations. And that the work is really fun. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you later.